Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ayo in case you are new here. Today I'm going to be giving you all the tips that I think that you could be doing to prepare for your first home purchase. So whether you are considering buying a house in the next 3 to 5 years, in the next 1 to 2 years, or in the next year or so, I'm going to be breaking it down into different steps so that you can make sure that you are in the best position possible to buy your first house. Alright, let's get straight into it. So the first stage I want to talk about are for people that are considering buying a house in the next 3 to 5 years. So you recognize and you know that you want to buy a house eventually, but it might not be your priority right now. What could you be doing to make sure that you are preparing yourself to buy a house in the next 3 to 5 years? Now, the first thing I would suggest is that you learn about setting financial goals and targets on an annual basis, and even eventually figure out how much you want to save for a deposit overall as a rough guide. I recognize that some people are sort of for and against 5-year plans, but I would suggest that when you're considering about buying a house and saving for a deposit, having an end goal in mind can really motivate you and really give you the accountability that you are required to have when it comes to saving such a large amount of money. So I would suggest that you have an idea of the type of flat or the type of house that you want to buy, what are the rough prices right now, and how much do you want to save towards a deposit, how much do you want to save towards the other costs as well, and have that end goal in mind and then work backwards. That's a really great way to just make sure that you are prepared and you have an idea of how much you want to save as your end goal. The second thing I would suggest is that you need to learn about investing. Now, I know that investing can be quite a scary word, but right now with the economic situation that we're in, investing is something that the everyday person needs to learn about. The way the interest rates are right now, if you save in a normal cash savings account, you're literally losing money on an annual basis. I don't want you to lose money. So it's really important that you learn about investing so that your money is working for you as opposed to losing value in a cash savings account. Now, there are different ways that you can learn to invest depending on how excited or enthusiastic you are about investing and about finances and stocks and shares and all that beautiful stuff. So just make sure you have an idea of what kind of investor you are, if you really want to be in the trenches and really figuring out all the stocks and shares that you want to go into, or if you're a casual investor who just sort of wants maybe a robo-advisor or someone else to do the investing for you, and look into the options that could work for you. If you're looking to actually save in 3 to 5 years towards your deposit, it will be a really great option for you to invest some money. So maybe by the end of those 5 years, your money has actually matured into something better as opposed to just sat in a cash savings account. So I'll definitely say investing is a huge part. Third thing I would suggest is that you look into tools that help first-time buyers, such as the Lifetime ISA or the Help to Buy ISA if you already have one open. Utilize those tools, because if you save in a Lifetime ISA, for example, over the next 3 to 5 years, your money, the way it will mature is beautiful. If you're able to save, for example, the maximum amount that is available in the Lifetime ISA, which is £4,000 for 3 to 5 years, whoa, you'd be raking it in. Why? Because you get a 1,000 bonus every single year. After 3 years, you've saved £12,000 and the government has given you £3,000 extra. After 5 years, you've saved £20,000 and the government has given you £5,000 extra. Now that's a meaty addition to your deposit. So make sure that you know all the tools that are available to you as a first-time buyer and you're utilizing it after doing your adequate research. That's very, very important. The fourth thing that I would suggest is that you just make sure to keep up to date with current affairs, have an idea of what the housing market is doing, have an idea of the government schemes that are available, how long they're going on for. You don't have to be, you know, on Daily Telegraph every single day, for example, but just make sure that you're sort of got an ear to the ground and you have an idea of what's going on, just so that when the time comes for you to buy your house, you'll have an idea of what's been available, what is available at the time, and you're just in the right sort of habits for knowing what's going on in the economy and what's going on in the housing market. And the last thing I would suggest for people that are looking to buy a house in the next 3 to 5 years is, if it is available to you right now, think about building a credit history. So think about maybe if you don't have a credit card yet, or if you don't have an overdraft, you haven't done the things that help you to build a credit history, think and consider about doing it if it works for you right now. So for example, when I came out of uni, about a year after, I opened up a credit building credit card, which was from Vanquis, I think it was. The interest rate on that is not nice. It's not nice at all, but it did give me a healthy credit history by the time it came to buying my first house. I'd had a credit card for about 4 to 5 years, and so banks, building societies, or whoever look at my credit file knows that I have a history with using credit and I'm comfortable using credit. So I would definitely suggest that you look into building a credit history, and in conjunction with that, make sure that you are paying off any high interest debts that you may have. Try and prioritize that first before saving, because at the moment your debt is doing more damage than saving for a deposit will be adding to you, if that makes sense. So I definitely suggest you try and build a credit history if you can and you are comfortable, and you also make sure to pay off any high interest debts that you may have. Now, the second stage are for people that are looking to buy a house in the next 1 to 3 years. These are just the main things that you can prioritize, but the tips that I mentioned earlier are also things that you could be doing to prepare yourself for a house purchase. So for my second stage people, this is exciting. Your house purchase is really near, it's coming. So it's really important that you prepare yourself in the best way possible. The first thing I would suggest is that you, again, set targets and goals in terms of the deposit required and the salary that you need to be on to buy the house or flat of your choice. A big part of buying a house and making sure that you're in the best position to buy a house is having the right salary and the right deposit. And honestly, one of the best ways that you can get the house of your dreams is to be on the highest salary possible, so that the banks give you a big enough mortgage to buy your house or flat. So I would definitely suggest that in the next year or 3 years, think about what salary that you can realistically get on, or how much income you could be realistically getting, and set those targets and achieve those targets. Like, go straight for it. Like I said earlier, writing down your targets and knowing your goals is just one of the better ways for you to be able to achieve them, rather than just keeping them in your head and hoping that you'll remember them. Write them down, do the best that you can to achieve those, so that you're in the best position when it comes to saving for your house. The second thing I would say, that if you're in this second stage in the next 1 to 3 years, ideally you should be using credit comfortably. So you should be using a credit card comfortably, you should be paying all your direct debits on time, doing your best to increase your credit score. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but credit scores isn't a be all and end all of, you know, buying a house or trying to get a mortgage, but they definitely help. So make sure that you are doing your best to increase your credit score, put yourself in the best position so that when that mortgage application comes, the banks don't have any questions or anything going on. Make sure that you are doing the best thing that you can to make sure that your file is looking good, clean and pristine. So paying off debts, making sure that you're using credit cards comfortably, your utilization isn't too high, but also you've shown that you can manage a large amount of money. Don't feel like you have to do too much, but just make sure that you're using it comfortably. Third thing I'd say, sort of linked to what I said earlier, pay down your debts and pay off anything that you may have on finance as well. The reason why this is important is because when you have loans, or you have maybe a car on finance or certain things on finance, it could actually harm your affordability slightly. So if you have a huge loan on your file, the banks are going to consider that when they're assessing your affordability of your mortgage payments. So if you're able to pay off any cars or any loans that you have, any debts in general, in the next 1 to 3 years, do your best to pay those down so that you're in the best position and, like I said, have a clean record for when the banks are considering your mortgage application and affordability. And the last and final thing that I would say when it comes to my second stage people is to look and research into government schemes that could possibly work for you or could work in your favor. Again, it's stuff like the Lifetime ISA, the Help to Buy ISA, but also things like the Help to Buy equity loan, like shared ownership, like right to buy, like this 95% mortgage deposit scheme guarantee. These are all things that you should have an idea of. Have an idea of what's going on in the housing market so that you know what you'd have available to you when it comes to buying your house. And it'd also be a good idea to know these things so that you know what to steer clear from. Not every government scheme is for everyone, and some of them come with a lot of pros and cons and vice versa. So make sure that you're researching into these government schemes, looking at what could work for you, and also making sure that you're in the best position again to buy your house. If the government can help you out, why not take it? As long as you've done enough adequate research so that you know that you are putting yourself in the best position. Now, the last stage, my third stage, people that are looking to buy a house in the next year or below. This is exciting. It is coming so close, and it's so important for you to be prepared. So the first thing I would suggest when it comes to buying a house in the next year or less than a year or so is to make sure that you're researching the areas, type of houses and flats that you're looking into, and scope them out. So if you know that you're not going to be able to buy a house in an area that is like around you or that you're very familiar with, look to those areas. Visit those areas at night, visit those areas during the day. Is there a lot of primary schools? Is there somewhere that you can raise a family? Is there somewhere that you want to be where there's easy commuting distance? These are all factors towards the location of your house, and it's really important that you have a good idea of where you want to buy a house. Don't go for anywhere random, because I'd hate for you to be in a position where maybe you've isolated yourself or you regret in the future. So definitely make sure you're scoping out all the areas, especially if you're considering your affordability and where you're really going to be able to afford a house. Look at those areas, scope them out, research them online, and do everything that you can to make sure that you are comfortable with where you want to buy a house. The second thing I'd suggest if you're trying to buy a house in the next year or less than that is to talk to mortgage brokers. Talking to mortgage brokers really gives you an idea of your current affordability and what houses and what flats you'd actually be able to afford and you're likely to get accepted for. There is an option to talk to mortgage brokers without, any fee, and to just have an idea, make inquiries. So make sure you do that so that you're talking to experts so that they can put you in the best position. And if there's anything that you need to do or adjust in the next year or so to put yourself in the best position to buy a house, you can be doing those things now rather than finding out about it when it's too late. And the last and final thing I would suggest for my third stages is that you need to budget and spend responsibly. When it comes to the mortgage application, those people are going to be looking at your bank account statements with a fine-tooth comb, and they're going to want to know, you spend a lot of money on this, you spend a lot of money on that, are you sure you're going to be able to afford this, are you sure you're going to be able to afford that? You don't want them asking those questions. So make sure that you are putting your bank account statements in the best, pristine, good looking position possible. So things like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself, of course enjoy yourself, that's a really important part of life, but if there are any regular things that you spend a lot of money on that you probably wouldn't want your mortgage advisor or someone looking at you sideways like this, then make sure you try and reduce that spending. Give them a good idea of how much money you spend on a monthly basis. Like, don't restrict yourself too much, but at the same time, if you know you're doing a bit too much sometimes, try and reduce it at least, so that when that application comes through, there are no questions that you're gonna have to answer, scratching your head and all this stuff, you know what I mean? So, what do you think? Do you think these are all tips that you guys could follow? Where are you in your home buying journey? Let me know down in the comment box below. I really appreciate you all for watching this video right to the end. If you have any other video suggestions, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that beautiful stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.